right, the championship loved by many, hated by few, respected by all, second to none. That's right. You know it, I know it, the whole wide world knows it, and that's the reason why you're listening to this radio podcast show from the Fishbowl Radio Network. As I glance outside, I see sunny South Dallas, where the sun is always shining. But the sun is always shining when justice seems to smile on us. And you know it very, very seldom smiles on us. We had the opportunity recently to talk to attorney Kim T. Cole, who will be calling in regarding Crystal Mason. You say you don't know who Crystal Mason is? You haven't been watching the news? What have you been doing? You been singing Jolene with Beyonce or something? It's more to life than that. You know, I like Jolene too, you know, hey, but guess what? You know, there's other things that's going on right now. So Angelo's been doing a lot of research on things that are happening, and he ran across this video clip. So Angelo, go ahead, handle up with the clip.
Crystal Mason, wearing the blue dress in this video from 2018, has spent the past several years in court. Friday, in a Zoom news conference, Mason claimed a win.
It's been a long journey for me and my family.
Her journey ended Thursday night with this ruling overturning her conviction for committing voter fraud.
Ms. Mason never should have been prosecuted for what was, at worst, an innocent misunderstanding.
Mason, during the 2016 election, submitted a provisional ballot when her name did not come up on the voter roll. It wasn't there because she was still a felon on supervised release for a federal tax fraud conviction. Provisional ballots include a notice about voting qualifications, but Mason claimed she never read it.
The state of Texas spent years wasting tax dollars and resources trying to ruin the life of an innocent grandmother who did nothing but attempt to cast a provisional ballot that wasn't even counted.
Tarrant County prosecutors during the appeal process defended the conviction by saying, "We believe it is not an accidental vote when the voter drives herself to the polling place and votes after signing a warning against illegal voting and after being warned not to vote by her defense attorney." Mason's conviction was initially upheld, but 2 years ago it was sent back. In making the reversal, the appeals court noted, even if she had read the rules on the ballot, they are not sufficient, even in the context of the rest of the evidence in this case, to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that she actually knew that being on supervised release after having served her entire federal sentence of incarceration made her ineligible to vote by casting a provisional ballot when she did so.
It is important to know that so many people are in a position that could very well be confusing to them, to the elections administrators. This law has to be simplified, but I fear that it might be confusing on purpose.
Do you believe I don't care about voting rights?
State lawmakers set in motion Mason's legal victory back in 2021 when they clarified the state law. SB 1 amended the election code, where a charge cannot be made solely upon the fact that the person signed a provisional ballot. The act of fraud has to be proven with other evidence to show the accused knowingly tried to cast an illegal vote.
It's been really rough. And when I got the news yesterday, I was just overwhelmed with joy. It's been a long journey.
Long journey. It's been a long journey, and a long journey is what this thing in America has been for us. A long journey. And wait a minute, hold on. I thought I saw the end of the road, but it wasn't there. It's going to be there a little while. It's going to be there a little while. So, you know, we want to go ahead and thank those people for bringing forth their support for Crystal Mason as well. And if you're on Facebook, let's bring this audio down a little bit. If you're on Facebook, you will be able to see some of the classic interviews we had with Kim Cole and also Allison Grinter Allen and also Justin Moore. Justin Moore is one of the attorneys of the case, but the lead attorney on this is Allison Grinter Allen and also Kim T. Cole. Man, wait a minute. Kim T. Cole? That name sounds familiar. You have a drop of Kim T. Cole? Let's play that drop right quick.
This is attorney Kim T. Cole of K. Cole Law PLLC. When I'm not fighting for civil rights and social justice, I keep it locked to Ed Gray on the Commish Radio Show.
That's the way we do it on the Commish Radio Show. Some people have their own theme song to come in with them, but nobody's ever had their own theme song. You know, Sounds of Blackness is about the closest people we've had their own theme song. But Kim T. Cole, she has her own theme song comes in. Kim, are you there?
I am here, Ed.
Okay, all right. Okay, good to hear your voice. Good to hear your voice. I know you were surprised to hear that radio drop come through.
That's a blast from the past, huh?
Yep, a blast from the past. A blast from the past. Well, what has been going on lately with you these days?
Oh, wow. Been insanely busy. One of the another big case that I am working on is I am also representing the longest serving exoneree in U.S. history, Mr. Glenn Simmons. He was exonerated after spending 48 years, 5 months, and 18 days in prison for a crime that he did not commit.
Repeat that again. 48 years?
48 years, 5 months, and 18 days.
Okay.
And so we are currently in the process of suing the city of Edmond, Oklahoma, as well as other co-conspirators who basically hid evidence exonerating him. He wasn't just exonerated, he was declared actually innocent by the judge. There was no way he could have committed the crime. He was in another state. He was in Louisiana at the time. And they knew this for years, but they kept him. He was actually sentenced to death and was on death row for some years until it was declared unconstitutional the way that Oklahoma was administering the death penalty. So that's what got him off of death row.
So you've been real busy with this deal. You still had the Crystal Mason as well, right? And
absolutely, we've been in a holding pattern for Crystal. You know, we presented this case April 18th last year, and have been waiting for a ruling since April 18th of last year.
April 18th of last year, and you're just not getting a ruling now?
Yes.
Well, what took so long on that?
I have no idea. I don't know why it took them so long. And truth be told, I honestly thought perhaps they weren't going to rule until after the election, but they did rule, so.
Were you surprised at the ruling?
I was. But you know, it was kind of mixed because they had already upheld the conviction the first time we appealed, and it would have taken some serious legal gymnastics to get around the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals opinion, because the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals remanded it back to them after they upheld Crystal's conviction the first time. The Texas Court of Criminal Appeals sent it back and said, excuse me, but you all misinterpreted the law. And so I need you to take another look at Crystal's case and apply the correct interpretation of the law. Now, Ed, these are appeals court judges. So these aren't some legal novices, right? Texas law is very, very clear. It states that a person commits the offense if they vote or attempt to vote in an election for which the individual knows that he or she is not eligible.
Now,
That's pretty clear, right? I mean, you're not an attorney, Ed, right?
No.
I'm pretty
No,
sure.
I just hang
It's
out
clear
with
to
you
you.
guys, but I'm not. But this is just good old fashioned Texas horse sense, and
Right.
that you don't have to be an attorney, with all due respect, to see that. But I'm
Right, and they hung their hat on Ed that Crystal didn't have to know she wasn't eligible, because they didn't prove in her trial that she knew she was not eligible. Was she not? She wasn't eligible. That's not the argument, right? She was not eligible to vote. However, well, actually, that could be argued too. But anyway, they said that she wasn't eligible. Okay, let's give them that. But they never proved that she knew that she wasn't eligible. And that was what they hung their hat on. They said, well, she didn't have to know. And that's not what the law says. I just told you what the law says. The law clearly says that she knew. So when they came back, you have to know that you're not eligible to be guilty of that offense. So when they came back with the correct application of the law to the facts of Crystal's case, they got the correct result, which, of course, they could have done the first go-round, right? And the Justice Birdwell, who penned the opinion, he stated that the evidence was insufficient to find that she knew. There's been no new evidence introduced. There's been no new legal arguments proffered. This is the same stuff that was presented to the court in 2018 when the local judge found her guilty. There was no evidence to support a finding that she knew she was not eligible to vote.
Now, 2018, that's 6 years ago. So I say we. I'm about to say we. We've been working on this for the past 6 years.
Yes.
You've been on the show. Allison Grinter Allen has been on the show. Crystal Mason's been on the show. And we were all talking about this so long ago. This was like 2-3 other studios. We're in a different studio here in Euless now. But several years back, we were doing this. And nothing new has been added. But it seems like the county of Tarrant County had it out for Crystal Mason. I know firsthand from the DA. I'm saying this myself. You don't have to back me up on this. But the DA at that time was very, very strongly committed to having Crystal Mason go to jail and stay there a long time, not just like paying tickets for something, but staying there.
Right.
And
absolutely.
And you were saying earlier about politically this situation, the politics involved in this situation is that you didn't expect for this to happen until after the election was over with. Tarrant County is the largest urban setting with Republican mayors. Well, of course, we can also count Dallas now because there's Eric Johnson, but that's a different story. But
he changed midstream, though. He changed midstream.
He what now? He said what now?
I said he changed midstream, though, didn't he?
That's true. He got elected as a Democrat.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep. We throwing shade and low punches and anything else, but we telling the truth at the same time. That's it. So that being said, how is Crystal doing today? You talk to her?
Yes. Crystal is, she said it's finally setting in. She said, I talked to her and she said, I feel like this is a dream. And I said, because it was.
A bad dream.
For the past almost 7 years, she has been dreaming of being cleared of these ridiculous, malicious, politically motivated charges. Because she knew that she was innocent. And she said it feels like a dream. And she said it's finally starting to settle in that, you know, she can wake up and know that she's not going to prison, that this 5-year sentence is not going to stand.
So each day for the last 6 years, a cloud has been over Crystal Mason's head, indicating that she will 5 years. Is that what you said? 5
Yes.
years for a vote
5
that does not
years.
count? You
Yes.
clearly, I know you know, but hopefully the people out there that are listening to us right now will understand that what this was an attack upon people of color to vote. People of color to vote. Nobody gets charged up for this kind of thing. They were making an example out of Crystal Mason.
Well, you know, and in their, they were, it was no secret. The DA specifically said, Your Honor, please make an example of her and send a message to the voters. The DA said, send a message to the voters of Tarrant County and sentence her to a quote-unquote stern prison sentence. Yeah, it wasn't a secret. They were bold about it. And the judge, who at the time was an appointee, was a Republican appointee.
Is that judge still in office?
Yes, I believe he ran unopposed. Unfortunately, Tarrant County got to get it together. Tarrant County has to get it together.
What's the judge's name?
It was, I believe, Gonzalez.
Okay. And the DA at that time was?
Sharon Wilson.
Sharon Wilson. Tough on crime,
Yes.
right? Now,
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
Sharon Wilson is one of those DAs that has had it out for justice activists. And I know firsthand of that. I've had conversations with Sharon Wilson, Judge Sharon Wilson. Once a judge, always a judge. She's a DA, but once a judge, always a judge.
Mhm.
That were quite testy, shall I say. And I'm glad that she's not in office anymore, right?
No, she's not.
I'm glad that she's not in office anymore. But that does
But
not
the
that
same
does not
mentality is in
mean
office.
it does not mean that the people who share her philosophy are not showing up
Right.
for work. And that's
Right.
the reason why we want people in Tarrant County to get out and vote. Because, see, when it comes down to philosophy, we can change who's in office, but if the philosophy doesn't change, you're not doing anything. You're not doing anything. We're at our 5:20 mark, and when we come back, we're going to conclude with the interview. But let's run a couple of drops, Angelo, and then we'll conclude with Attorney Kim T. Cole. All right?
This is Attorney Kim T. Cole of K. Cole Law PLLC. When I'm not fighting for civil rights and social justice, I keep it locked to Ed Gray on the Commish Radio Show.
Hi, this is Howard Scott from The Howard Scott Show, coming to you from beautiful Arlington, Texas on Fishbowl Radio. You can catch me every Wednesday from 6 to 7, and we play all this war music, and you get to hear some of the songs that I wrote when I was in the band War, how I created the songs, the stories behind it, and we start off with the blues. You have a good time talking to me, so tune in every Wednesday from 6 to 7 and catch The Howard Scott Show. We're having a whole lot of fun on Fishbowl Radio.
Jump in.
Who was that masked man? You mean you don't know? That was no masked man. That was the Commish. Saturdays from 5 to 6 p.m. on the Fishbowl Radio Network.
All right, we're back again, the Commish Radio Show. If you'd like to be interviewed right here, please contact us, 469-387-9616. Operators are standing by right now. Operators are standing by. So give the Commish Radio Show a call. We are talking about social justice and activism again. We have Attorney Kim T. Cole, who is the successful lawyer with the Crystal Mason case, and a great friend of mine as well. We had the opportunity. She visited me at Gray Haven. And I think it was years back. Jesse Taylor who was a guy on my show who did work here on my show, and we are very thankful to have him. And we'd like to send a prayer for him as we understand that he's going through some challenging times right now. But Jesse Taylor and Kim Cole, and who's the other person that was with us, Kim, that came to Gray Haven, my home? Begins with
I can't remember.
You can't remember. She can't remember, but I'll drop the name. I'll pick it up later. Benjamin Crump. Okay.
He must have come with the McKinney case.
Yep, and we were doing the film down in Austin. Austin.
Yes, he was in town for the McKinney. Yeah,
right,
the McKinney
right.
Yeah.
So, yep, that's the way we roll at Gray Haven. Benjamin Crump at the house, Kim Cole at the house. We just chilling, doing our thing. You know what I'm saying? But we always talk about moving forward the needle of justice. This obviously had to cost a lot of money to keep doing this for 6 years. I think they were trying to bankrupt a lot of people because they have a big bankroll at Tarrant County. What's up with that?
That could be possible, and that's why we are grateful for the ACLU stepping up and leading the charge on Crystal's case. Obviously, with Allison and I, we both were brought in under Next Generation Action Network, and obviously Next Generation Action Network doesn't have the funding that the ACLU, our Next Generation Action Network Legal Defense Fund does not have the funding of the ACLU. So they did step in and carry the bulk of the load as far as the appeal is concerned.
And that's Dominique Alexander.
Absolutely, the one and only Minister Dominique Alexander.
And see, this is the reason why I know some people, they've called me and they say, why you hang out with Dominique? It ain't about hanging out with Dominique. It's about we happen to be in the same place doing the same thing, which is fighting for justice. Why you not with us? That should be the question. You asking me about why I'm hanging out with him, when the question should be, why you not with us? Because we fighting for the same thing that you quietly send me instant messages about, saying congratulations, but you're not out there fighting with us. That's the deal. So he got you guys involved into this. That's a good thing. Well, what other people or entities help fight in this battle?
Pastor Freddie Haynes. He was very instrumental in Crystal's fight. I would say she wouldn't have been able to do it without his support and prayers, and the prayers of Friendship West Baptist Church, where she is, a member, as well as I'm a member as well. So,
okay.
But Pastor Haynes, who is now the over Rainbow Push Coalition. So
seem like Friendship West is in the house today.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, congrats to Friendship West as well. Now, you had started earlier telling us about the other case that you're working. Is there anything left to do in this case? It's like I read the article in the paper. It's like, okay, it's over with. Everybody go home. We go to Thibodeau's to get us some Cajun food. That's a nice plug for us to do Thibodeau's. So I'm teeing up Angelo with the drops to do for us as we go out. So Thibodeau's and Friendship West, we did. Anytime I say a word, that means he's supposed to look that up. But what's next? I mean, is it over with?
No, for Mr. Simmons.
No, for Crystal. Is it over with Crystal?
For Crystal? Oh, absolutely not, Ed. Come on, absolutely not.
Come on, now. I just saw it in the paper. It said it was over with. I saw it in the paper.
So the criminal case. So the state can't appeal, right? They can appeal, but the Court of Criminal Appeals already told them, you know, that look, we've been there. They've already told them their opinion. So if the Second Court of Appeals says that the evidence is insufficient to find her guilty, the Court of Criminal Appeals, when they did claim that even though they didn't have enough evidence to prove that she knew she couldn't vote, that was okay because it didn't matter that she didn't know that she couldn't vote. She knew she was on supervised release, and that was good enough. The Court of Criminal Appeals already told them that wasn't good enough. So I don't know. They have the right to appeal, but in my opinion, they have no ground to appeal.
Okay, so
because the evidence hasn't changed. They did not prove that Crystal knew she could vote, and so they didn't prove it at trial. They obviously didn't satisfy the Second Court of Appeals, and so they could appeal it. They have the right to do so. However, I don't believe that it would be wise for them to do so.
Okay.
And so as far as the criminal case, obviously they have the right to appeal. They have a certain, that's on them. But I don't believe that they will, and I certainly don't believe that they should, because they don't have a leg to stand on at this point.
Now, if they were to appeal, what if they found some additional information?
They can't. So once it's in the appeal process, you cannot introduce any new evidence because, I got plenty of information.
Okay.
On Crystal's behalf, we don't want to get started on that because the witnesses contradicted each other during the trial. One said she was there at 2:00 in the afternoon. Another one said she was there at 4. Crystal, I was on the case one day, one day, hadn't even been there a full 24 hours on her case, and I had her work record. And Crystal was still swiping her badge in Dallas at 3:30 that day. There's no way you get from Dallas to where Crystal lives in the sticks in Tarrant County to be able to vote at 4:00.
Go
in the rain.
In the rain.
During rush hour traffic.
During rush hour traffic.
There's no way that happened. She was swiping her badge at work. She was swiping back in, matter of fact, to work from her last break at 3:30 that day. So those two witnesses contradicted each other. We could introduce new evidence. I got a boatload.
Okay. I'm glad you're an attorney. Well, is there anything you want to add as we go to a close?
I would like for everybody to wish Crystal the happiest of birthdays.
Today's her birthday?
Her birthday. No, today she's having her birthday party today, but her birthday was a few days ago. So this is one of the best birthday presents I think she could have received. That's the best news that she could have received today. So or the other day rather.
Okay.
I would like for everyone to wish Crystal a very happy birthday. And also, I would, like I said, I'd like to thank the ACLU for their diligence and all of the efforts they put forth in, bringing this home for us. Because obviously without their support, we would not have been able to sustain a 6-year fight. And so, and also, Next Generation Action Network, say what they will, but they have brought on attorneys who are diligent in the pursuit of justice. And they're, Minister Dominique Alexander, his support, and also Pastor Haynes. Once again, he was very, very, very instrumental in kind of keeping Crystal lifted up in prayer and keeping her encouraged, and also being grounds on the feet, as far as showing up at different rallies and protests and court hearings and all. He was very supportive. So also wanted to thank him as well. And I would like to thank your listeners, Ed. I would like to thank you and all of your listeners who over the years have, posted, donated, shown up at events, who have kept this fight alive for the past almost 7 years. That has not gone unnoticed by Crystal, and we really, really appreciate you, everyone. And please understand the fight is not over. And I'm not talking about just for Crystal. I'm saying the fight for voting rights, for people of color, for minorities. There is an effort. There is an attack on voting rights right now that has been, all across the country, not just in Tarrant County, but all across the country. And so we must remain diligent in the fight to dismantle a system that allows an innocent woman to be sentenced to 5 years in prison for simply attempting to exercise her right to vote.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And I believe our listeners have got the word out and they've heard the word. Now it's best for them to get the word out. So,
absolutely.
Kim, again, thank you for calling in. We appreciate you, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you, and bye.
Bye-bye. All right, Angelo. As we get ready to go to a close, Kim T. Cole was saying that we had did some commentary. We did several commentaries on the Fishbowl Radio Network, and I posted those on the Facebook page. But we also had the opportunity to do some commentary on Inside Texas Politics, WFAA, where you could have watched me at 9 on 8. It's been a long time since I did that one. 9 on 8, Inside Texas Politics. So I wanted to do that for a blast from the past. Remember, 7 years, almost 7 years, this lady had been held up in a judicial stick-up. You know what I'm saying? Held up in a judicial stick-up. We will go back in time to one of those Ed Gray on WFAA, My Voice, My Opinion moments, and then we will go to a closeout on some, on some radio drops that we do here, courtesy of Angelo, who's on control today, and we will see you guys back here next week, all right?
Equal justice under the law is engraved on the front of the U.S. Supreme Court building in Washington, D.C., but in Tarrant County, is it really being applied? Ed Gray from the Commish Radio Show argues his point in My Voice, My Opinion.
We will soon go to the polls to vote. However, in Tarrant County, we create political prisoners, such as Crystal Mason. Miss Mason mistakenly believed that she could vote. Miss Mason's provisional vote wasn't even counted. Meanwhile, a Republican Tarrant County Justice of the Peace pleaded guilty to voter fraud, got probation, and then walked free. Voter suppression leads to voter apathy. We must not sentence black and brown voters to jail time for voting. We must not have Republican candidates on the ballot, as we do in Dallas County, after suspected voter fraud. There is no judicial fairness when Crystal Mason is sentenced to prison for a provisional vote, and judges guilty of voter fraud are set free. Texas, we must free our mind. We must free Crystal Mason, and democracy will follow. I'm Ed Gray, and this is My Voice, My Opinion.
Hey, how you doing? This is Ed Gray of the Commish Radio Show. Stay tuned and tune in and be up to speed on everything in social justice, human rights, and politics on the Commish Radio Show, airing every Saturday, 5 p.m. on the Fishbowl Radio Network.
Jump in.